What happens when a bride-to-be insists her ex-boyfriend should walk her down the aisle instead of her father, calling it romantic closure, only to have her fiancé cancel the wedding entirely and serve her with a lawsuit for financial damages and emotional distress at the venue rehearsal in front of both families? How does an engagement disintegrate when the woman dismisses every boundary as jealousy, while her fiancé quietly documents her emotional affair and prepares a legal case that exposes her manipulation to everyone she knows? Why do some people only grasp the meaning of betrayal when it's read aloud by an attorney in a room full of witnesses? Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. I was chopping vegetables for dinner when the idea came to me. It felt perfect, romantic even. A way to honor my past while stepping into my future. Malcolm had just gotten home from school, and Iris was at the kitchen table with her coloring books, humming to herself. I set down the knife and turned to Malcolm. I told him I had been thinking about the ceremony and wanted to discuss something special. He looked tired. He always looked tired after a day of teaching high school math. But he smiled and asked what I had in mind. I took a breath and said I had decided to ask Dominic to walk me down the aisle. Malcolm stopped moving. His hand was halfway to the refrigerator door, and he just froze. He asked me to repeat what I said. I explained that I wanted Dominic to walk me down the aisle instead of my father. I told him Dominic had been such an important part of my life, and it would be meaningful closure, a way to honor what we had while celebrating what Malcolm and I were building. Malcolm's face went completely blank. He asked if I was serious. I said yes, completely serious. I told him it was romantic and modern. I said it showed emotional maturity. He asked how I thought this made him feel. I told him his feelings were based on insecurity and jealousy. I said Dominic and I were just friends now, and if Malcolm trusted me, this would not be an issue. Malcolm said having my ex-boyfriend walk me to marry him was disrespectful. His voice was quiet, controlled, too controlled. I rolled my eyes. I told him he needed to get over the past. I said Dominic was my best friend now, and Malcolm was being old-fashioned and possessive. Malcolm's jaw tightened. He did not say another word. He just walked out of the kitchen. Iris looked up from her coloring and asked why Daddy Malcolm sounded sad. I told her everything was fine. I told her grown-ups sometimes disagreed, and it was normal. She went back to coloring, but I could see the worry on her little face. That night, Malcolm got into bed without speaking to me. I tried to cuddle up to him, but he moved to the far edge of the mattress, facing the wall. I told him he was being childish. He did not respond. I lay there for a while, frustrated. I told myself he would get over it. He always did. Malcolm was patient. Malcolm was understanding. By morning, everything would be fine. But at 2 a.m, I woke up to use the bathroom. I noticed light coming from under the home office door. I walked quietly down the hall and cracked the door open. Malcolm was sitting at his desk with his laptop open. The screen showed a spreadsheet. I could see columns labeled date, expense, and category. He was typing quickly, his face illuminated by the blue glow. I stepped back before he could see me and went back to bed. My stomach felt tight. I told myself he was just organizing finances. We were getting married. People did that. But something about the way he looked, focused, methodical, cold, made me uneasy. The next morning, I found a thin folder on the kitchen counter. It was labeled Household. I opened it, expecting to see utility bills or insurance documents. Instead, I found highlighted receipts for wedding deposits, venue contracts with both our names, payment confirmations, and at the bottom, a printout of my recent text exchange with Dominic where I said, "I'm so excited for you to walk me down the aisle. It's going to be perfect." My hands started shaking. Malcolm was already gone. His phone was still on the charger, and an alarm was going off. The label on the screen read, Riverbank 8:15 a.m. I closed the folder and put it back exactly where I found it. I told myself I was not doing anything wrong. Dominic was my friend. Malcolm was overreacting. But the folder stayed on the counter all day, and every time I walked past it, I felt sick. By Wednesday, the tension at home was unbearable. Malcolm barely spoke to me. He played with Iris, made dinner, helped her with homework, but the moment I entered the room, he went silent. At work, things were not much better. I was at my desk finalizing details for a corporate event when my boss approached. She asked if I had a moment to speak privately. In the conference room, she pulled up my social media on her laptop. There were photos of me and Dominic, at restaurants, at concerts, late-night coffee shops. In some of them, we were laughing, leaning close, his arm around my shoulders. She said a client had seen the posts and expressed concern about my judgment and professionalism. She said it looked inappropriate for someone who planned weddings to be publicly spending so much time with an ex-boyfriend. I told her my personal life was private. She said not when it was all over social media. I left the meeting furious. My coworkers were staring. I knew they had seen the posts too. Saturday morning, I met Dominic at a coffee shop. We sat on the outdoor patio, and I vented about Malcolm's reaction. Dominic listened, nodding sympathetically. He said Malcolm sounded insecure. He said I deserved someone who trusted me. We talked about the ceremony. Dominic joked about how awkward it would be to walk me to Malcolm. We both laughed. At some point, I reached across the table and squeezed his hand. He squeezed back. We stayed like that for a moment, fingers intertwined. What I did not know was that a neighbor from Malcolm's building was walking by. She saw us. She stopped, pulled out her phone, and took a photo. Then she texted it to Malcolm with the message, "Saw this. Thought you should know. I'm sorry." That evening, Malcolm came home late. I asked where he had been. He said he was at Malik's place. I asked if he was still upset about Dominic. He said he was thinking about a lot of things. I told him he was overreacting. I told him he was ruining our wedding with his jealousy. He opened his laptop. A calendar reminder popped up on the screen. Records review, 10:30 a.m. Sun. He dismissed it quickly, but I saw it. I also saw 2 mugs on the kitchen counter. One was full of fresh coffee, the other was empty and cold. He had been home earlier and left without telling me. Sunday morning, I woke up to find Malcolm already gone. There was a note on the counter saying he took Iris to his parents' house for the day. I went to the home office. The desk drawer was slightly ajar. I pulled it open and found labeled binders inside. Venue. Catering. Photographer. Each one contained contracts, payment receipts, and highlighted clauses about cancellation and refunds. My hands were shaking as I closed the drawer. My phone buzzed. It was a text from my brother, Rowan. "Mom told me what you're planning with Dominic. Are you insane?" I called him immediately. I told him everyone was ganging up on me. He said I was destroying my relationship and embarrassing the family. I hung up on him. I tried calling Malcolm. The call went straight to voicemail. I opened my laptop and saw that Malcolm had left a browser tab open. It read, "Breach of contract wedding cancellation." I slammed the laptop shut. I told myself Malcolm was being dramatic. I told myself he would calm down. But deep down, I was starting to realize this was different. Sunday night, I couldn't sleep. The apartment felt cavernous without Malcolm's breathing beside me. I kept replaying Iris's tiny voice. He taught me a song, and the way Constance's eyes had iced over. My phone stayed dark. No texts, no calls, not even a passive-aggressive emoji from Simone. Monday, 6:03 a.m. I woke to the front door clicking shut. Malcolm's side of the bed was cold. On the kitchen counter, a post-it in his neat engineer print. Early meeting, back by 7. I brewed coffee I didn't drink and stared at the vendor list still in the printer tray. Every line item had a yellow highlight. Venue deposit, $12,000. Non-refundable. Catering, $9,500. Cancellation, 30 days, Sarah 100% penalty florist, $4,200. 50% retained, total at risk, $30,400. At the bottom, a new line in red pen. Legal consult, $750 HR, retainer paid. I photographed the page with shaking hands and emailed it to Ms. Patel with the subject SOS. Monday, 9 to 17 a.m. Ms. Patel called from her car. "He's building a paper trail. If he cancels, he wants you liable for every cent. We need to file a counterclaim today. Your trust funded 60% of these deposits. Meet me at noon." I showered, dressed in the armor of a charcoal blazer, and left before Malcolm returned. Monday, 11:58 a.m. Legal aid smelled like burnt coffee and toner. Ms. Patel spread the vendor list across her desk like a battle map. First move, freeze joint accounts. Second, demand mediation before he pulls the trigger. Third, document every interaction with Dominic. Texts, photos, Iris's guitar lessons. We spin it as co-parenting a friendship, not an affair. I nodded, throat tight. Monday, 2:44 p.m. I texted Dominic from the courthouse steps. "Need a sworn statement that nothing romantic has happened since Malcolm and I got engaged. Can you sign today?" His reply was instant. "Of course. I'll bring my guitar so Iris can show you the song." I stared at the screen. No guitar. No Iris. Just the paper. Monday, 5:12 p.m. Dominic met me at a notary in his work scrubs. Pediatric nurse, gentle eyes, zero drama. He signed the affidavit without flinching. The notary stamped it with a satisfying thunk. "Tell Malcolm I'm sorry this got twisted," he said. "I never meant to be the villain." "You're not," I lied. Monday, 7:03 p.m. Malcolm walked in with Iris on his hip, her hair in 2 perfect braids. She waved a construction paper heart. "For you, Amara." Malcolm's gaze flicked to the manila folder in my hand, Ms. Patel's counterclaim. His jaw set. "Iris, go play in your room." She scampered off. The door clicked shut. He held out his hand. "Give it to me." I slid the folder across the counter. He flipped it open, eyes scanning. When he reached the line, plaintiff seeks $19,440 plus legal fees. His nostrils flared. "You're suing me." His voice was deadly quiet. "You printed the cancellation terms first." "That was due diligence. This is self-defense." He closed the folder. "You're choosing him." "I'm choosing not to be bankrupted for a crime I didn't commit." Iris's door creaked open. "Daddy, can Amara read me the dragon book?" Malcolm's eyes never left mine. "Not tonight, sweetheart." Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. I woke to an email from the venue coordinator. Contract terminated per Mr. Gray's request. Balance due? $0. Deposit forfeited. Attached, a PDF of Malcolm's signature, dated yesterday. I forward it to Ms. Patel with 3 fire emojis. Tuesday, 10:15 a.m. Ms. Patel filed an emergency injunction to freeze all wedding-related refunds until mediation. The judge granted it by lunch. Tuesday, 1:07 p.m. Constance called from a blocked number. I let it ring twice, then answered. "Amara, this is beneath you." Canceling a wedding via email is beneath Malcolm. Malcolm is protecting his daughter. From what? A children's song? From a woman who prioritizes an ex over her future stepchild's emotional safety. I hung up before I said something I couldn't unsay. Tuesday, 3 p.m. Malcolm's Tuesday at 3 meeting was apparently with his attorney. A courier delivered a thick envelope to the apartment while I was at work. Inside, proposed settlement. Malcolm keeps the apartment, the car, all wedding deposits. I walk away with $5,000 and a gag order. Exhibit C, a photo of Dominic and me at the notary, his hand on my shoulder. Caption, "Emotional affair continues." Exhibit D, Iris's daycare log, 3 pickups by Uncle Dominic in the past month. I hadn't authorized those pickups. Malcolm had. Tuesday, 6:22 p.m. I confronted him in the garage as he loaded Iris's booster seat into a new SUV, his name only on the title. "You used your own daughter as bait?" "I used the truth," he said. "You brought him into her life." "She's 6. She thinks Guitar Man is a superhero." "She'll learn the difference," Iris waved from the back seat. "Bye, Amara. See you at the wedding." Malcolm's eyes flicked to me, guilt, then steel. He drove away. Wednesday, 9 a.m. The final review on the calendar was a mediation session at the courthouse. Malcolm's attorney, a shark in a silk blouse, laid out the same settlement. Ms. Patel countered with the trust fund receipts and the injunction. The mediator, a tired man with a voice like warm gravel, suggested a cooling-off period. Malcolm refused. "Then we go to trial," Ms. Patel said. "And the press gets the daycare logs, the slashed dress, the fountain flare. Your choice." Malcolm's attorney whispered in his ear. He nodded once. Wednesday, 11:47 a.m. New proposal. Split deposits 50-50 after venue refund. Unlikely. Joint custody of Iris's emotional well-being. Mandatory co-parenting therapy. Dominic banned from all child-related events until Iris turns 10. I laughed in their faces. She's not a timeshare. Ms. Patel slid a counter across. 60-40 split in my favor. My trust money. Therapy for all 3 adults. Dominic allowed supervised visits. He'd been Iris's guitar teacher since she was 4. Malcolm stared at the page like it was written in blood. Then he signed. Wednesday, 1:12 p.m. Outside the courthouse, he caught my sleeve. "This doesn't fix us." "There is no us," I said. "There's a little girl who deserves 2 stable adults. Let's start there." He nodded, eyes wet. "Iris has a recital Friday. Back row's yours if you want it." I almost smiled. "I'll bring lemon bars." Wednesday, 3:30 p.m. I moved into the loft above the bakery. Dominic helped carry the wedding corpse box. We labeled a new one, co-parenting evidence. Inside, the settlement, Iris's crayon heart, a photo of the 3 of us at last year's zoo trip. Malcolm hoisting her onto his shoulders, me laughing beside them. Wednesday, 8:12 p.m. I baked lemon bars until the loft smelled like forgiveness and citrus. I boxed half for Iris, half for Malcolm. On his box I wrote, "Truce, no poison." Thursday, 10 a.m. The venue coordinator called. "Good news, the injunction scared them. They're refunding 70% of the deposit. Wire hits Monday." I whooped so loud the baker downstairs sent up a free croissant. Thursday, 2 p.m. Simone met me for coffee. She brought Grandma's pearls. I was wrong, she said. You weren't prioritizing Dominic. You were trying to keep every piece of your life from shattering. I fastened the necklace. Some pieces needed to break. Thursday, 7:00 p.m. Iris FaceTimed from Malcolm's phone. She wore a lavender tutu and a construction paper crown. Amara, I learned a new song. It's about dragons who share treasure. Malcolm's voice in the background. Show her the chorus, kiddo. She strummed an air guitar. We keep the fire, but we share the gold, I laughed until I cried. Friday, 6:30 p.m. The recital hall smelled like hairspray and nervous parents. I slipped into the back row, lemon bars in a Tupperware. Malcolm sat 3 rows ahead, Iris between him and Constance. When Iris spotted me, she waved so hard her crown slipped. The lights dimmed. She took the stage in her tutu, guitar almost as big as she was. The first chord wobbled, the second soared. By the chorus, the entire audience was clapping. Afterward, Iris ran to me full tilt. I knelt, arms open. She smelled like baby shampoo and glitter. I saved you the blue seat, she whispered, pointing to the construction paper heart taped to the chair beside Malcolm. He stood, uncertain. I handed him the Tupperware. Truce? He opened it, took a bite, and, miracle, smiled. Not bad. Constance watched from the aisle, lips thin but silent. Friday, 9:12 p.m. Dominic picked Iris up for a supervised ice cream date, his first since the settlement. Malcolm handed over the booster seat without a word. Progress. Saturday, 10:00 a.m. The wire hit, $22,680. I paid Ms. Patel, bought Iris a real guitar, pink, sparkly, child-sized, and put the rest in a college fund labeled Iris Gray, future rock star. Saturday, 3:00 p.m. I hung one thing in the loft. The construction paper heart, now laminated. Under it, a post-it in Malcolm's handwriting, left on my windshield sometime before dawn at Back Rows Always Yours. Sunday, 11 a.m. I baked lemon bars again. This time, I delivered them in person. Malcolm opened the door in pajama pants, hair tousled, Iris on his hip. Peace offering, I said. Iris grabbed a bar with both hands. Daddy says we're a team now. Malcolm ruffled her braids. Different positions, same goal. I smiled, real, wide, unapologetic. See you at practice Tuesday? He nodded. Bring the blue seat. I walked back to my car, sun warm on my face. The radiator in the loft would never clank again, but the future hummed with a new kind of music. Off-key, imperfect, ours. Saturday night, I arrived at Dominic's condo with one duffel, the manila envelope, and the shredded remains of my dignity. He opened the door in sweatpants, hair damp from the shower, and pulled me into a hug that smelled like cedar and safety. Guest room's yours as long as you need, he said. No strings? I believed him. Sunday, we ordered Thai and ate it cross-legged on his living room rug. I cried into the pad Thai. He refilled my wine without comment. At midnight, he tucked a blanket around me on the couch and kissed my forehead, chaste, brotherly. I fell asleep to the hum of his Xbox cooling down. Monday, 7:12 a.m. A process server knocked while I was brushing my teeth. Dominic signed for the envelope. Inside, petition for dissolution of engagement and recovery of funds. Grayveer Crane. Malcolm was suing for the full $32,000 in deposits plus emotional damages. Exhibit A, a photo of me entering Dominic's building at 11:47 p.m. Saturday, time-stamped. Exhibit B, my text to Dominic from 2 weeks earlier. I'll stay with you. Presented as proof I'd abandoned the marital home. Dominic read over my shoulder. He's lawyering up fast. I called Ms. Patel. She met me at noon in her office that smelled of lemon verbena and righteous fury. Engagement's not marriage, she said, scanning the petition. He can't claim abandonment. But the deposits? If you sign the contracts jointly, he has a case. We counterfile for half the money you paid from your trust, plus the cost of the ruined dress. Ruined? She slid a photo across the desk. My gown, lace bodice slashed, veil stuffed into the toilet at the boutique. Security footage showed a child's small hand holding safety scissors, Iris's silhouette in the doorway. I gagged. Tuesday, Ms. Patel filed. Wednesday, Malcolm's attorney countered with a restraining order alleging harassment. Thursday, the judge laughed it out of court, but scheduled mediation for the following Friday. Friday, 9:00 a.m. The mediator's office was beige and soulless. Malcolm sat opposite in a charcoal suit, eyes flat. Iris's crayon drawing peeked from his briefcase. 3 stick figures, one crossed out in red. We each got 5 minutes. Malcolm. She moved in with her lover 48 hours after I vacated. She's harassing my daughter. Me. He changed the locks while I was at the park. He destroyed a $14,000 dress. He's weaponizing a 6-year-old. The mediator asked for compromise. Malcolm wanted the full $32K and an NDA. I wanted my $18K trust money and a public acknowledgement the dress destruction was vandalism. We settled on $15K each, NDAs both ways, and joint counseling for Iris. Malcolm slid the pen across the table like a scalpel. Outside, he caught my arm. This could have been avoided. So could cheating on you with your best man, I said. We're even. His jaw clenched. He walked away. Saturday, I moved into the loft above the bakery. Dominic helped carry boxes. We labeled one wedding corpse and filled it with the slashed gown, the canceled contracts, the scorched ivy leaf. We sealed it with duct tape and wrote, "Do not open until hell freezes" in Sharpie. Sunday, Iris's preschool sent a care package, a new tote, no monogram, a candle labeled New Beginnings, and a single lemon bar wrapped in parchment. A note in Malcolm's handwriting. She insisted you have the last bite. I ate it on the fire escape, flakes of sugar catching the wind like snow. Monday, the deposits hit my account, $15,000 exactly. I paid Ms. Patel, bought a new bed, and donated the rest to a domestic violence shelter in Iris's name. Tuesday, I wore the midnight blue dress to work. Javier promoted me to creative director. "You've got scar tissue now," he said. "That's gold in this business." Wednesday, Simone met me for coffee. She brought the pearl necklace from Grandma's attic. "I believe you," she said. And I quit the replacement bridal party. Marisol's intense. We burned the tote in Dana's fire pit. The monogram curled into ash. Thursday, Dominic texted, "Coffee? No strings, just caffeine?" I replied, "Rain check, healing solo." He sent a thumbs up. No guilt. Friday, 1 year to the day since Malcolm proposed, I threw a party in the loft. Dana, Simone, Ms. Patel, the bakery owner downstairs. We toasted with lemon drops and 0 Prosecco. I stood on a crate. To the weddings that combust, and the women who rise from the glitter. Glasses clinked. Someone started chanting my name. Saturday, I woke to sunlight and the smell of croissants. My phone buzzed. An email from Malcolm. Subject, Iris's recital. She has a solo. She asked if you'd come. Back row, no contact with me, your call. I stared at the attachment. A tiny ballerina in a lavender tutu. Gap-toothed grin. My eyes. I typed, back row, lavender tutu. I'll bring lemon bars. I hit send, opened the balcony door, and let spring flood in. The radiator was silent for once. Somewhere below, a kid laughed. I smiled, real, wide, unapologetic, and took a bite of croissant. The future tasted like butter, citrus, and the sharp sweetness of a story I finally owned. Friday, 6:58 p.m. The venue's porte cochere glowed like a stage set. White string lights, valet in black vests, a chalkboard easel that read Bridger Harris Celebration. In elegant calligraphy. My stomach flipped. Malcolm had kept our hyphen. Dominic squeezed my hand. "Breathe, babe. You look incredible." I did look incredible. Midnight blue silk, hair in loose waves, the pearl studs Malcolm gave me on our first anniversary. Armor and apology in one. We stepped through the frosted glass doors. The foyer smelled of eucalyptus and champagne. A string quartet played something soft and Vivaldi adjacent. Guests milled in cocktail attire. Our guest list, minus the cousins who'd already chosen sides. Then I saw the banner over the archway. Malcolm and Marisol. A new chapter. My knees liquefied. Dominic's grip tightened. Malcolm stood center stage beneath a floral installation. White roses, baby's breath, the exact palette we'd chosen together. His arm was around a woman in emerald velvet. She was radiant, pregnant, laughing at something he whispered. A toddler clung to her skirt. Simone spotted us and froze mid-sip, eyes wide. Gerald appeared at my elbow like a bouncer. "Time to go," he murmured. "No." My voice carried, heads turned. "Malcolm." He looked up. For a heartbeat, the mask slipped. Surprise, then something colder. He excused himself from the woman, Marisol, and crossed the marble floor. The quartet faltered, then recovered. "Amara." His tone was boardroom polite. "You weren't invited." "This is our venue, our date." I gestured at the banner. "What the hell is this?" "A celebration of new beginnings." He glanced at Dominic, jaw ticking. "With people who honor commitments." Dominic stepped forward. "Watch it." Malcolm ignored him. "You should leave before security escorts you." I laughed. Sharp, ugly. You voided our wedding and threw a replacement party in the same room? That's not closure, Malcolm. That's cruelty. Guests whispered behind champagne flutes. Phones lifted. Someone live-streamed. Malcolm leaned in, voice low. You moved in with your affair partner. You don't get to play victim. Dominic bristled. Say affair again. Malcolm's eyes flicked to the toddler now hiding behind Marisol's legs. Not in front of my daughter. The word detonated. Daughter. The toddler peeked out. Dark curls, Malcolm's nose. She couldn't be more than 2. I staggered back. When? Conceived the week you were working late in Chicago. His smile was razor thin. Karma's thorough. The coordinator appeared, flustered. Sir, we need to start the toast. Malcolm nodded. To me? Security's outside. Don't make a scene. But the scene was already happening. Simone was crying. Gerald looked sick. The string quartet had switched to something funeral march slow. I found my voice. You kept the flowers, the menu, the quartet. You just swapped the bride. And the groom, Dominic muttered. Malcolm's nostrils flared. You have 30 seconds. I looked at Marisol, serene, hand on her belly. At the toddler clutching a tiny bouquet. At the banner with our hyphen now claiming someone else. I lifted my chin. Keep the flowers, keep the date, but you don't get to keep my dignity. I turned, heels clicking across marble. Dominic followed. Behind us, Malcolm called my name once, almost pleading. I didn't stop. In the parking lot, the valet tried to hand me a claim ticket. I waved him off. Dominic opened the passenger door of his Tesla. Drive, I said. He peeled out, gravel spitting. I rolled the window down and let November rip through my hair. Half a mile down the road, I started laughing, manic, unstoppable. Dominic glanced over, alarmed. Pull over. He did. I stumbled out, kicked off my heels, and screamed into the void until my throat burned. Then I opened the trunk, found the emergency roadside kit, and pulled out the flare. Back at the venue entrance, the valet's eyes widened. I ignited the flare, red, hissing, illegal, and hurled it into the decorative fountain. Sparks reflected in the glass doors like paparazzi flashbulbs. Security bolted out. Dominic grabbed my arm. Time to go, Bonnie. We sped off, flare smoke curling behind us like a middle finger. Saturday, 3:12 a.m. Dana's couch again. My phone exploded. 127 missed calls, 43 texts, 1 viral video titled, All right, true. Bridezilla sets venue on fire, literally. The flare had singed the fountain's faux ivy. Property damage, 400, charges pending. I muted everything and opened my laptop. New email from Malcolm's attorney. Cease and desist all contact. Restraining order filing Monday. I forwarded it to Ms. Patel with the subject. Bring it. Sunday, I baked. Not cookies, lemon bars, the kind Malcolm hated because citrus is a breakfast betrayal. I boxed them up, drove to the venue, and left them on the hood of Malcolm's Tesla with a note. For the new chapter. May it curdle. Monday, Ms. Patel met me at the courthouse coffee stand. They're bluffing about the restraining order. But the flare? Reckless endangerment. We plead to disorderly conduct, pay the fine, do community service. Done. She slid a manila folder across. Counteroffer. You keep the $17,700 in wedding deposits you paid from your trust. He keeps the joint savings. You both sign NDAs. No social media, no flare guns. I signed without reading. Tuesday, the venue posted photos. Malcolm and Marisol cutting a cake shaped like a hot air balloon. Caption. Up, and away with our forever. I commented from a burner account. Hope the frosting's lemon. Wednesday, I moved into a loft above a bakery, smelled like croissants and second chances. I hung one thing, the scorched ivy leaf I'd fished from the fountain, pressed in a frame labeled Artifact from the Funeral of a Future. Thursday, Dominic helped carry boxes. We christened the fire escape with cheap champagne. You torched a wedding, he said, clinking bottles. Iconic. I torched a lie. I corrected. Friday, June's preschool called. Not June. Malcolm's new daughter was Lila, apparently. The admin needed my forwarding address for the bridal party gift bags I'd prepaid. I gave them the loft. Saturday, the bags arrived, monogrammed tote, scented candle, a bottle of Prosecco. The tote read, an M&H forever. I used it for recycling. Sunday, I walked to the duck pond, same one where I'd once scattered rose petals during Malcolm's proposal. The ice had thawed. I wrote, I release you on the Prosecco label, corked it with the scorched ivy, and set it afloat like a tiny Viking funeral. Monday, Ms. Patel texted, Settlement signed, deposits wired, you're free. I bought myself flowers, sunflowers, because roses were dead to me, and put them in a vase that said Namaste. Etenon. Tuesday, I wore the midnight blue dress to work. Javier promoted me to creative director. Chaos looks good on you, he said. Wednesday, Simone called. I quit the bridal party. Marisol's intense. Can we get drunk and burn the tote? We did, in Dana's fire pit. The monogram curled black and satisfying. Thursday, I got a text from an unknown number. A photo of Lila in the scorched ivy frame, crayon smiley face drawn over the burn marks. Caption. Daddy says you're a witch. I think you're magic. I saved it. Friday, 1 year to the day since Malcolm proposed, I threw my own party. Loft packed Dana, Simone, Dominic, Ms. Patel, even the venue coordinator who'd comped the fountain repair. We toasted with lemon drops. I stood on a chair. To the weddings that weren't, and the lives that are. Glasses clinked. Someone started a chant. Amara, Amara. Saturday, I woke to sunlight and the smell of fresh croissants. My phone buzzed, an email from Malcolm. Subject. Truce. Lila keeps asking about the fire lady. Maybe supervised coffee sometime? No lawyers. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed, only if I bring the lemon bars. I hit send, set the phone down, and opened the balcony door. Spring was early this year. Somewhere below, a kid laughed. I smiled, real, unguarded, and took a bite of croissant. The future tasted like butter and possibility. We arrived at the wedding venue at 7. The parking lot was full. I told Dominic this was a good sign. Maybe Malcolm had invited people to witness our reconciliation. We walked to the entrance. I took a deep breath and opened the door to the grand foyer. The space was full. Both families were there. Constance and Gerald in the front row. Rowan sitting in the back. Simone and Malik with the rest of the bridal party. The venue coordinator, the photographer, the caterer, the florist, the officiant. At least 50 people. But there were no wedding decorations, just a formal seating arrangement, and everyone was staring at me. My stomach dropped. A woman in a gray suit approached immediately. She asked if I was Perpetua Graves. I said yes. She introduced herself as Malcolm's attorney. She handed me a thick folder. The room went completely silent. I opened the folder with shaking hands. The first document was a civil lawsuit. Malcolm was suing me for recovery of $32,000 in wedding expenses. The claim cited breach of implied contract and emotional distress. The second document was a cease and desist letter. It demanded I stop making false statements that Malcolm was controlling, abusive, and jealous. The third document was a petition for a temporary restraining order. It cited harassment, continued unwanted contact after Malcolm had asked for space. The attorney began to speak. She said Malcolm had provided extensive documentation, text messages between Dominic and me discussing our connection and how Malcolm doesn't understand me like you do. Social media posts showing escalating intimacy, witness statements from Simone, Malik, and the coffee shop neighbor, recordings of me telling mutual friends that Malcolm was emotionally abusive, financial records showing Malcolm had paid 87% of all wedding costs. I looked around the room desperately. Constance and Gerald sat with Malcolm. Their faces were hard. Simone would not meet my eyes. Rowan sat in the back, shaking his head. My mother entered late. She saw the scene and gasped. Dominic stood awkwardly beside me. The attorney noted his presence as proof of the ongoing inappropriate relationship. Then the venue coordinator stood. She said she was providing a statement that I had asked multiple times if Dominic could have a role in the ceremony and had dismissed Malcolm's objections. The photographer stood. He said I had asked him to take casual engagement photos with Dominic. The florist stood. She said I had wanted Dominic's favorite flowers included in the arrangements. I tried to speak. I tried to say this was all a misunderstanding, that Malcolm was overreacting. But the attorney said anything I said could be used in legal proceedings. Malcolm stood for the first time. His face was composed, but his voice was steady and clear. He said he had tried to address this privately. He said I had responded with gaslighting and public humiliation. He said he was pursuing every legal remedy available to protect himself and his daughter. My phone buzzed. A notification. Someone had tagged me in a post. Bride arrives at venue with ex-boyfriend, gets served with lawsuit instead of wedding. Karma is real. Comments were already flooding in. Someone in the room was live streaming. I stumbled out of the foyer into the parking lot. Dominic followed but kept his distance. Cecilia ran after me, crying, asking what I had done. I tried to explain. She said she could not defend this. She walked back inside. I sat down on the curb, alone. My phone rang. It was the attorney's office. A voicemail. Court hearing scheduled Monday 9 a.m. Bring representation. Settlement discussion possible if full accountability and public retraction are provided. Otherwise, see you in court. I looked up. Through the venue windows, I could see Malcolm surrounded by supporters. Iris ran to hug him. Constance put her hand on his shoulder. I sat there in the dark parking lot, the venue's lights glowing behind me. My phone kept buzzing with notifications, comments, shares, messages from people telling me I deserved this. I thought about the moment I proposed having Dominic walk me down the aisle. I had thought it was romantic, mature, a sign of how evolved I was. I had not seen it for what it was, a betrayal, a public humiliation of the man who loved me, a violation of every boundary he had tried to set. I had told myself Malcolm was jealous, controlling, insecure. But the lawsuit in my hands told a different story. The room full of witnesses told a different story. The $32,000 in canceled deposits told a different story. I had done this to myself, and now I had to live with it. The screen faded to black. End. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next story. Write in the comments from which city you are watching.